Hi, this is Dale Buchanan, the host of Puppy Talk Podcast. Before we get started today, I wanted to let you know of my new book, The Complete Puppy Training Manual. It's available on Amazon in 4 formats: Kindle ebook, paperback, hardcover, and audiobook. You can find it on Amazon right now. It's called The Complete Puppy Training Manual, and I will put a link in the show notes of this episode. I'm Dale Buchanan, and this is Puppy Talk, the podcast that offers advice on how to raise a healthy, happy, and obedient puppy. This podcast is sponsored by Top Gun Dog Training. Be sure to subscribe to this podcast now so you don't miss a single episode of Puppy Talk. Welcome to Puppy Talk episode number 31. We're starting a new format for this show, and every week I'm going to offer a free puppy training tip. This is a series of puppy training, and the first one, this episode, is going to be how to teach your puppy to sit. This is going to be a great episode because I'm going to get into very specific details of how to teach your puppy to sit using operant conditioning, reward-based training. This is positive reinforcement. Before I get started on this episode, I wanted to mention that our sponsor, which is my other company, Top Gun Dog Training, is now offering online dog training. Now, I still offer in-person dog training to people in most of Broward and Palm Beach counties in South Florida. However, I've gotten a lot of requests for people that want online dog training at other parts of the country and even the world. Let's get on with the show. This episode is how to teach your puppy to sit. There are a couple of things you will need for this episode if you want to participate in the training session. And that is going to be a quiet place with no distractions and some training treats. The training treats that I recommend, I explained in episode number 11. So if you need recommendations, go back and listen to that episode. The first step to teaching your puppy to sit is to grab the food lure and bring it to the puppy's nose and slightly overhead so they look up. At this point, their butt is moving towards the ground, and then when their butt hits the ground, they are in the sit position. You're not done yet because there's going to be 4 steps to effectively teach your puppy to sit, and then we're going to add the command in. Here are the 4 steps. Take the food lure, put it to the nose, bring it overhead. When the puppy sits and the butt touches the ground, you mark that behavior either with a clicker or the word yes, and then you give the food reward. I did an episode on clicker training in one of my other episodes. You can go back and listen to that one about why and how clicker training is so important and effective. So again, those 4 parts. Get the food lure, bring it to the puppy's nose. You're not saying the command yet. We're going to get to that in just a minute. Bring it to the puppy's nose, lure the food lure above them and slightly back to where their butt goes down and hits the ground and their head looks slightly up towards your face. You're going to mark that behavior when their butt touches the ground with a yes or a clicker, and then you're going to immediately give the food reward. I'm going to follow Gene Donaldson's method of going 5 for 5. This is push, drop, and stick. We want to go for 5 for 5. If the puppy does this 5 times when you have the food lure overhead and they sit down and you can mark and then reward, if they do 5 in a row, you're ready to move on to the next step. If they only do 3 or 4 in a row, you have to stay where you are. If they only do 1 or 2, then you're going to have to drop back to something a little bit more simple. Obviously, there isn't anything more simple than a sit, so we're just going to assume that your puppy's able to do most of these either 3 to 5 repetitions in a row. When they get to 5 for 5, you're going to move on to add the vocal command. You're moving along, you're doing the training, you've got the treats, you're lowering over the puppy's head, the puppy's butt touches the ground, you say yes, and then you reward. The puppy's done that 5 for 5. Now you add the vocal command. Here's where it becomes important. You add the vocal command first. You look at the puppy and you say, sit. After you say sit, you grab the treat, you bring it to the puppy's nose, you lower over the puppy's head, the puppy's butt touches the ground, you mark the behavior, and then you give the food reward. Once again, you're going to say the word sit, you get the food lure, you bring it to the puppy's nose, you bring it slightly over the puppy's head, the puppy's butt touches the ground, you say yes, and then you reward for the behavior. The next thing you're going to do, if the puppy does that 5 for 5, after you say the word sit and then you continue the luring method, the next thing you're going to do is you're not going to use the food lure. You're going to say sit and see what the puppy does. This is where it gets very important that you have a lot of patience. You have patience and you're waiting for the puppy to sit. Now at this point, the puppy may be looking around. Maybe looking at you, maybe looking on the ground, maybe looking left and right. The puppy is thinking. He doesn't know exactly what you want him to do because he doesn't know English. He doesn't know what the word sit means yet. You are programming the word sit into the puppy right now, and you have to be patient. Patience is the key. Once you say sit, and you've gone through all of the other steps that I've already mentioned in this episode, if you've gotten to this point and you're using the vocal command with no food lure, give the puppy 10 or 15 seconds to do the behavior. Mark it and then reward. If you don't have the puppy doing it within 10 or 15 seconds, you can say sit again and then use the food lure as you're saying the word sit, to help the puppy along. You want the puppy to succeed. You don't want the puppy to fail here. There is no failure, there is just learning. Also, keep in mind that when your puppy is learning, you only want to say the command once. I cannot even tell you how important this is and how many times I go to somebody's house and do a consultation and they have a puppy and they're saying, sit, 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 stop, sit, sit, down. And then they're saying the name. Fido, sit, sit. I said sit. And the puppy doesn't know what you're saying. So you want to say the command only once. Be patient. Let the puppy learn. Let the puppy process what it is you've already taught them. The next thing I want to mention is that if your puppy is checking out and you start using the command sit and then your puppy goes somewhere else, goes over there and lays down, does something else, starts scratching himself, does a shake off, something like that, they're done with the training session. Don't do any more training during that time. Wait till a later time in the day or do it the next day. You want each training session to be about 3 to 5 minutes for puppies. Maybe even less. When I started training Dixie at 14 weeks old, I only did 1-minute training sessions with her. And she is a rock star. She can do every command that I need her to do. Sit, down, stay, come, wait, leave it, drop it. Everything on command with distractions anywhere. Because I never overtrained her and I taught her using these methods. So keep in mind that you only want to be training your puppy when you have their full attention. If you don't have their attention, then you're not going to have a good training session. Another thing that you want to do is you want to slowly start adding distractions into the training sessions so that your puppy can continue to do the sit when there are distractions. This is very useful when you're teaching leash training to your puppy and you bring your puppy outside and there's another dog across the way or another person coming by and you want your puppy to sit and behave. This is also very practical when you're crossing the street or coming out of a doorway. Asking the puppy to sit and wait is teaching patience and frustration tolerance and also impulse control. I like to use the sit command with Dixie when we're walking probably 15 to 20 times. If we go around the block, I'm going to stop and I'm going to ask for her to sit about every 10 to 15 seconds because I want to make sure she's not eager to go too fast, eager to do too much on the walk. She's going for the walk, she's going potty, she's getting some exercise, and then I add in the mental stimulation of the sit when we're walking. This is very, very effective. So there's a lot of ways to use the sit, and also the sit is a precursor to the down position and then stay. I hope this information is helpful and useful for you, and that you are able to teach your puppy to properly sit on command at any time. In future episodes, I am going to teach hand signals. This is a little difficult to do with no visuals, but I'll do the best I can. Hand signals are going to be applicable for sit, down, stay, and come. The next episode I'm going to do on puppy training series is teaching your puppy the down position. If you have any questions, feel free to email us through the contact page of our website, puppytalkpodcast.com. Have a great day. This is Dale Buchanan, host of Puppy Talk Podcast. I have an announcement of a new book that I just published called Potty Training Your Puppy. It's available on Amazon in Kindle and paperback, soon to be available on audiobook. You can find out all the details of this book using the link in the show notes. It's called Potty Training Your Puppy. It's a comprehensive book with a simple and effective way to help potty train your puppy, and it really works. Check out the link in the show notes.